My son, Drue McGuire, passed away a couple years ago from fentanyl, March 14th, 2022. He left behind a beautiful little boy. He was funny, he was charming. He always wanted to help everybody. He was friends with everybody. Nobody was a stranger. If he saw you, he knew you, he loved you. That's just his personality. He was hilarious to be around. He had special nicknames for everybody. Nobody got called by their regular name ever. Like his brother Zach was Scalar. Where he came up with them, I don't know. He just made up names as he went along, and that was just part of his personality. He was hilarious. He had a heart of gold. He would do anything for anyone. He redefined being blonde. I used to laugh at him all the time and would say, "You're the only male person that I can ever define blonde with." Because him and his brothers would just, joke around, and his younger, he was the oldest, and the middle one, they're 15 months apart, my Irish twins. And he would tell him that ketchup was made out of mustard, and Drue would believe him. And I'd be like, dude. He just had that personality, When he passed, so many people, he helped me. He could help everybody, he just couldn't help himself. But if he loved you, he was all in. There's nothing. He would move mountains for the people in his world, especially that little boy. That was everything to him. Milo cut a tooth, you would have thought he cured cancer. He was so excited about it. And so he's just a kind-hearted individual, and some days maybe he was just too good for this world. It was his time to go. He had problems in the past with addiction. He had gotten over being a heroin addict and a pain pill addict. He liked to drink. We could never seem to get past the drinking. And then drinking causes you to do stupid things. But when he passed, he just wanted a Xanax to calm his nerves, and it was pure fentanyl. There's no Xanax in his system. He died from 10 times the lethal dose. His fiance, his baby's mom, she's a nurse. His son was at the other grandparents' house for the day, and she came home from work, and he was gone. And she called and said, "Drue's gone." I said, "What do you mean?" And from there, they did the autopsy, and that took weeks. Toxicology took months. Detectives were no help. They don't care. His house was a mess. There was beer cans. So, he's just an addict. He's a nobody. But that wasn't true. His house wasn't always messy like they thought. His house was always clean, so something happened there that day. We know who it was. The family got them out of state and pretty much made sure he wasn't around. We know exactly who it was. I believe the detective said to me at one point, "Don't worry, eventually he'll be in jail." So they really don't care to investigate. God forbid if you had OD'd before and gone to an emergency room, now you don't matter to the detectives. Because you have a past. I don't know about you, but I have a past too. That doesn't make me a bad person. He was also a dual diagnosis patient. he was an addict, but he was also had depression, severe depression and anxiety. So he had medication that he was supposed to take every day for his depression and his anxiety. And we found through talking to a lot of other people that it's very common in the people that overdose. Most of them are dual diagnosis patients. They tend to want to self-medicate their way to feeling better. We all want to feel better. That's why a lot of people drink. We're okay with people being alcoholics, but we're going to turn our backs on people that have other issues. It's wrong on many levels. It is a double standard. We don't have enough mental health resources in our country to help these people. We're okay with people getting drunk. We advertise it everywhere. But when somebody has a crutch that's not what's acceptable by society or your advertisement, suddenly, well, that's their fault. How many people die from alcoholism every year? Well, I know one, my son's father. He died from being an alcoholic. How many accidents are caused by alcohol every year? Thousands, hundreds of thousands. How many people die in car accidents? Hundreds of thousands. But we're going to turn our backs on these kids that need help and these adults that need help because it doesn't fall into your normal societal box. It's wrong. A lot of these kids did not grow up poor. They don't come from poor neighborhoods. This is everywhere. This is just not on the streets. This is in homes where good people have worked hard. Doctors, lawyers, state troopers' kids, everybody, actors' kids. It's not just one group of people. It's everybody. And somebody needs to step up and help them and stop turning their backs. You see it all the time on the internet. When an article comes up, somebody will comment, oh, well, they stuck it up their nose, or, oh, they put it in their mouth. That's not an answer, because I can tell you right now with 100% surety, my son did not intentionally take fentanyl. So no, that's not what he stuck in his mouth. And he did not know that's what he was putting in his mouth. I asked if they fingerprinted or anything off all the cans that were in the house and bottles and cigarette butts that were out back. And they were like, why? Why would we? I don't know. Maybe so you could find out who was in the house with them. Track down where this came from. Save the next child, the next mother from hitting the floor. Your heart stops when your child's heart stops. He went to rehab so many times. I never really did much for him. He knew how to self-soothe. He knew all the steps to take. We couldn't get him the mental health care he needed. I can break my arm. I've got 4 hospitals within 15 minutes of my house, but I can't get my son mental health care. Why? Where are we failing? We're failing everywhere. The first time he went, I made him go. Second time he went on his own. Third time he went, he was out of options. You either go or you're not staying at my house. It was never court ordered, no. He had been in trouble with the law. He had no driver's license. Drinking and driving, various other things. He had his share of, problems. I bought my own laptop from the pawn shop at least 5 times. Had to get TVs back from the pawn shop. But I also know that that's not my child. That's active using. They're two different people. And that's what society doesn't seem to understand. It's easy to turn your back on somebody when they're using. But when you know the person on the other side, you want to help them. And we're not doing that as a country. Every time Drue was clean, he was back to being his funny self, loved everybody. Even when he was using, he loved everybody. He'd meet people at the gas station and know their life story by the time he got done talking to them. And they would send me messages how he helped them. He couldn't help himself, but he wanted to help everybody. What he needed was mental health care. And I'm not saying that circles of care in town is bad. It's not enough. It's just not enough. We need more. We could solve a lot of homeless problems with good mental health care too. Then we turn around, stop the homeless problem, you stop the addiction problem. All you got to do is get good mental health. When people feel like they have nothing and they can't feel well, that's what happens. You need to figure out how to make it more accessible. Because right now it's not. It's always, what health insurance do you have? Or, how much money is in your back pocket? Well, I can't work because I got mental health issues or addiction issues because of it. So then they don't have health insurance because they don't work. And then what? Then there's no help. And then you got your sliding scale for other places. Well, that's fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. If you can get an appointment in the next 3 to 6 months. It's too late. They're dead in under 5 minutes. They need help. Sending them to jail doesn't help them. All it does is make them good at more scamming people and more lies. Putting an addict in jail is like sticking an alcoholic in a bar. It's crazy. They need mental health help. They need people to understand that they're just people like everybody else. They have families that love them, children that need them. And of course, somebody who's mentally ill doesn't necessarily want to go get help. Why would they? They don't understand that they're mentally ill. We have to do a better job. We're just not doing it. I mean, the numbers are coming down, but we're still not doing it. Life is hard. I get up every morning, put my feet on the floor, and I know my son's there to help me get through my day because he would not want me to lay in bed all day. We have the Drue McGuire Foundation and the Forever Angels of Brevard, and we're trying to get the word out, hand out Narcan. If I see people on the streets panhandling or whatever, and I'm not being prejudiced to them, but I know that they know that the homeless camps, there's a lot of drugs going on. So I'll hand them out Narcan and tell them to get it to wherever they're at. They don't deserve any less than that either. Everybody deserves a shot at being well. I do a lot of therapy. My counselor, grief counseling. EMDR has been a really good trauma helper because it is traumatic. Regardless of what people think, people left behind are traumatized. I call my boys and talk to them frequently. I make sure they're okay. I know they're not. They miss their brother. He could light a room up walking in the door, and I know they miss it. And it's just not the same without him. Addicts are people just like everybody else. They're no different than the drunk you see in a bar. They deserve the same amount of respect as the person that gets in that car and kills somebody from drinking. And we need to find a way to help them solve the problem. We've got to start somewhere, even if you think it's not going to work. I've had so many people tell me, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. Well, what are you doing? Right? I mean, at least I'm trying. What are you doing? Try something. Try anything. Even if it's 5 people walking down the street and talking to people that look like they may have a problem. Talk to them. Hear their story. Maybe you can help them. You never know when you might run into that one person you can help. Sometimes they just want to be heard. Parents, we want to be heard. We don't want the world to think our child was bad. I raised 4 biological boys, and I have 2 bonus boys that were at the house a lot. They were all raised exactly the same. Same values, same morals. They're all very different. It's not something we did to our children. And I am so tired of people looking at us like we did something wrong or our child did something wrong. There were circumstances. My child had issues. He had anxiety. He had depression. We tried to help him. He became an addict. The people he went to high school with, I can't tell you how many of them are gone. Same thing, heroin overdoses. Ran rampant through their school. And it was a school with some pretty wealthy people. It wasn't a bad school. It used to be one of the best schools in the area, which is why we moved there. Had I known what I know today, we wouldn't have moved there. But I will tell you that child breaks a bone or, gets hurt in some way and a doctor prescribes them pain pills, you're starting them 15, 16 years old. They're on their way to being an addict before you know it. And that is what I've heard so many stories of. Broken arms, broken legs, knee injuries. The doctor gave them too much pain meds. Well, now they're hooked and they can't afford a $25 pill on the street, so they're going to turn to heroin. Heroin is then less expensive and easier to get a hold of. Now you've got them hooked on heroin. Heroin comes quite laced with fentanyl.